Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now today I've got a very special guest. I'm joined by Joe to preview the Brighton game, and like I just said to Joe, this is one of those games where I just always get nervous because like last season, there's times where it's difficult to beat you guys. It's never going to be easy, but I'm really looking forward to previewing this game. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
No worries. Yeah, all good. I would probably say don't be overly worried at the moment. We're not setting the world on fire. So yeah, I think you're probably in a better shape to beat us than you have been in previous seasons. But yeah, let's see how we go.
Yeah, I do always look forward to this game as well. And I did want to, before we do go to speak about the game, I just wanted to get your thoughts about the season. Is it being better than what you thought? Is it being worse than what you thought? What have you made of your season so far at the moment?
Oh, it's been all over the place, to be honest.
Hmm.
Obviously, our first ever foray into European competition. It's been quite a fun journey, I would say. We obviously topped our Europa League group in on the last game against Marseille at home in the
Hmm.
89th minute, and you couldn't get much better than that, to be honest. And it was funny because I tweeted out before that game. I was getting myself all psyched up for it. And I tweeted the video of Alexis McAllister scoring that penalty against United in the 99th minute. And I said, to be honest, I don't think he'll ever top this moment. And then João Pedro said, "Hold my beer, Alexis," and then goes and does that. And it was one of the most special moments I've ever experienced as a Brighton fan, for sure. And we've been blessed over the last 12 months to experience some really really good moments. Getting into Europe for the first time against Southampton last season, I cried my eyes out when we achieved it, and when João Pedro scored that goal, it felt like we were on top of the world. And then we were drawn against Roma for the next game, and they gave us a bit of a humbling. And when you come into European competition, you're going to come up against the best of the best at some point. And unfortunately, we didn't quite have enough in the tank to do anything at their place. They beat us 4-0. We took them back to the Amex. We beat them 1-0. We gave them a really good game, and I think we went out of the competition with our heads held high. I mean, this club has been through so much. This club has come from nothing. So for us to even have those opportunities to go to Rome, Amsterdam, Athens, Marseille, it's just been an absolute dream.
Yeah, I definitely think like I said last time, you have come a long way. And I think it's, if you asked me a few seasons ago, would you guys get in Europe? I wouldn't really think that. And now, I would expect, you to get to that level. And at the moment, you're on ninth. I know last season you finished a bit higher, and obviously there was 9 games to go. Do you expect to finish higher than last season, or are you just really enjoying the ride? And I mean, for me, I watched you guys against Liverpool. I know the second half was a little bit more different. Liverpool were much better, but I see you as a team that are really a joy to watch on a day when you're really good, and I do think you have come a long way.
Yeah, it's a really weird one, as I say, because we've experienced a lot of highs this season, a lot of lows. It's been all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I see us still as a team that are always going to go out and compete against
Yeah.
the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, because you guys play football, and we struggle against the teams that don't play football.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit back and catch us on the counter attack and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a really strange game. I think it's just going to be whichever Brighton turns up. We've got Brentford tonight, which is another tough game. We don't really like playing against Ivan Toney. He always seems to score against us. So I think if Arsenal were going to do the double on us, I think for the first time since we've been in the Premier League, I think this is probably the best time for you to do it. I think in terms of where we're going to finish, I don't know. I think we've got such a hard run of games left.
Yeah.
We've still got to play Man City. We've still got to play you, Aston Villa, Chelsea, Man United, Bournemouth, who are proving to be a tough test at the moment for a lot of teams. So in one world I can see us finishing 13th. In another world, I can see us finishing 7th and
Yeah.
clinching European spots, because I think Europe, dependent on cup winners, is going down to 8th this season.
Mm.
So we've still got a good opportunity to do something, but we've also got a really big opportunity to mess up big time. So yeah, it's going to be a stressful end to the season.
Yeah, I think like you said, I know with Arsenal as well, these last few, 9 games, you got really difficult fixtures. I think a lot of teams have. I mean, I know I look at the Villa one, I know you play them too, and I think that is going to be a tough game because they'll want to get top four. I think top four will be between them and Spurs, and I think right now it's so competitive, and getting top four, top six, the relegation zone, it's really difficult. And I did want to touch about your manager, De Zerbi, because obviously, I've seen a lot of stuff about him possibly leaving, whether that's to Liverpool, whether that's, out of the Premier League. And honestly, I would just love to get your thoughts because, for me personally, I really, really like him at Brighton, and I couldn't help if he left but feel a bit disappointed because I just feel like you're building a great, as a club, you're doing really well. And I just feel like for me personally, I would feel like it would be a bit of a shame, if he left. But what are your thoughts on the situation if he did leave?
I mean, I think as Brighton fans, we're no stranger to being in
Mhm.
this position. We've had a lot of very, very good people come and go from our football club, and it's a feeling that we all know far too well.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see someone act differently. It would
Hmm.
be nice to see someone say, actually, I've got a really good thing going here at Brighton, and I want to build on what I've already built. With this squad, with these players, and he always talks of the pride of being a manager of these players, but also a manager of Brighton as a football club. I think he's intelligent enough to see how well we're run. He's intelligent
Yeah.
enough to know that there's a big transfer window coming up where
Hmm.
it's going to be a buyer's market. A lot of teams have to sell because of financial fair play regulations. And we've just reported that we've made 120 odd million pounds in profit. And that doesn't even include the Moises Caicedo deal, which blows my mind. This football club is in the healthiest position any
Hmm.
club could ever be in. So I think he would be silly not to wait and see what we do this summer
Yeah.
and wait and see what we can do next season. He's got a year left, or 2 years left, I believe. So he's in no rush, and he's been quoted to say he's in no
Hmm.
position to want to leave Brighton right now. But we're also not naive enough to sit here and say,
Hmm.
is the pull of Bayern Munich too much? Is the pull of Liverpool too much? Napoli
Yeah.
going back to his home country. Um, so it's going to be a big game of chess this summer, and a big gamble for Tony Bloom to put his money where his mouth is and say, Roberto, we're going to back you. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think looking at it through Brighton tinted spectacles, of course, yes, I want him to stay. I want him to do well for us. I just know how football works all too well,
Yeah.
and I could see him go.
It's a really difficult situation. I mean, I think the Liverpool job, it's a very, very big job to fill, Klopp's boots, and Liverpool definitely need to be still competing, still being the same as the other season. Like as a club, they should be doing that.
Mhm.
And I've always thought if De Zerbi did go there, Liverpool, you are expected to win a lot of more games than maybe a Brighton. It's a very different, type of team to be at, and yeah, it's a shame, for you guys because I know you get used to a manager and then you leave, and I think it's a bit of a risk really for him because he could build even more things for you. You could have a really good summer if you bring in. I know you have made a lot of money for players, that we've bought off you guys like the Ben White, Trossard. I mean, they've been excellent signings for us. So you've done really well in that aspect. I mean, for you, if like De Zerbi did leave, would you still have that respect for him? Would your opinion of him change, or would you still be grateful for what he did for you guys?
I think it really all depends on how he leaves.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like he's a man of honor and a man of pride, and wouldn't let his reputation be tarnished
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. I think he's already spoken in the press just last week about the relationship that he's got with the fans, um, and the fact of, we've achieved so much together already in just over sort of 18 months. How long now? No,
Mm.
yeah, roughly about a year and a half he's been with us. So yeah, I don't think I could tell you until it happens,
Yeah.
because I just don't know how it would happen. Um, Whether it be, obviously, go to a bigger job. There's
Yeah.
always a little bit of bitterness from, if you're a little club and you're just getting bought out all the time. It hurts, it stings, because you want your club to be the most successful club in the country. Of course we do. We know we're Brighton. We are humble. We know that, but
Hmm.
we all go out and win silverware. We want to make sure this club continues to improve. So, when Graham Potter left, it was very quick. Bang, bang, bang. He's gone.
Yeah, it all happened so fast. It was
Whereas
crazy.
I think with the Zerbi, I think he would be a man that would sit down in front of a camera and say, listen to me, Brighton fans. This is why. And I think we would understand that.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, if he does it that way, he would leave with my greatest respect.
Yeah.
Um, just like Alexis McAllister, he stuck out, he did his job, he got us into Europe, and then he moved on.
Hmm.
And we still absolutely adore the man.
Yeah.
So we are a club that are always going to respect people, for what they've done for us, if you don't burn us like
Yeah.
Graham Potter did.
There's definitely, like you said, a way of how you do things. You expect one day, players, managers to move on. I think as long as they, put you kind of first and think about how you feel as well, because you do build these connections with these managers and these players. And I do feel like he is a very respectful person, and I think he would do that. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. I personally would love him to stay at Brighton. I mean, I just feel like you've grown so much these last few years, and you definitely are a lot harder to beat. I mean, talking on the game, I just wanted to ask you a bit about that. I know, obviously, the games Arsenal have got, and we're in the Champions League. I know if we get a few injuries, then things will be a bit of a mess for us. But how would you feel about going to the game? Obviously, you said, yourself, you're having a bit of an up and down season. Though Arsenal at the moment have got a lot of confidence. We've got draw of City. We do play Luton tonight. I mean, do you feel confident you could get anything off us? A point maybe, or a win, or are you not sure?
I think I look back to how we played at the Emirates, and that was a really, really tough afternoon for us. There was one moment in the game where it sort of fell on its head that Pascal Gross could have snatched a point out of all against all odds, and he missed a great chance. And then you go up the pitch and make it 2-0. But I think overall, you probably deserved to win that game 2-0, because you absolutely annihilated us all over the pitch. And as I say, that's the first time I've seen you guys dominate us, probably since the first 60 minutes at the Amex last season, where you guys were really good, and you scored 4 goals in what felt like a blink of an eye. And then we just fell short on coming back. And I think if Matoma's stud was onside, we would have made it 4-3, and we could have had a really good opportunity to make history there, but it wasn't to be. But I think the difference is the fact that Alexis McAllister and Moises Caicedo aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Teams know that if they overrun us in midfield, they're gonna beat us. And I think Arteta's a good enough tactician to find that weak spot. And I don't think we have many answers to when teams do that. And you've got an unbelievably strong midfield. So that's where I fear that we're going to get undone at the weekend. But I do hope that it's a repeat of last season when we played you when you were in a title run and we
Yeah.
slightly derailed that. So there's strong motivation. for us playing you guys in April. We seem to love playing you guys in April and beating you. So
It's always at
I'm,
the
I'm
worst time for us.
yeah, I'm hoping that the stars align in the Brighton world, and we can do something special and keep our tracks onto Europe. And yeah, hopefully beat you. But I'm very nervous.
Yeah, I think at the moment, I mean, it's usually this time of the season where Arsenal fall apart a little bit. I think for me, I'm hoping this is the case, but before Dubai, when we just couldn't score, I think that was hopefully our blip then, and we seem to have gone past that, which is obviously good. But Brighton's a really strange one. We can either win really professionally and get a clean sheet like last time and do well, or we can really struggle. And it's going to be so tough for me. And I just want to ask you about, your player of the season for you guys. I mean, I've got to say, I'm a really big fan of Danny Welbeck. Obviously, he played at Arsenal, but I just find him so underrated. I mean, obviously, I don't watch him all the time with you guys, but for me, it was really good to see him score against Liverpool, and what an incredible goal that was. I mean, for you, if you had to pick, a player of your season, who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I love Danny Welbeck. I think he's been such a great uh, acquisition by the club. I think he's given us a lot off the pitch as well. The clubs he's played for, Arsenal,
Yeah.
and Man United, having that pedigree of knowing how to win big games and win trophies as well. He's won a few with you guys. I think he doesn't get the respect that he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
He's just had 100 appearances, Premier League appearances, with us, which I think is the most for any club.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he's got a strong connection to this club now as well. And I would love him to sign a new contract. I think that he gives us so much, and especially if we're like winning a game 2-3-0, he'll normally come on and lead the line for the last sort of 20 minutes and normally gets himself a goal as well. I think that experienced head is just fantastic. And yeah, it deserves more respect for me. Player of the season. This is a tough one. I mean, you can never really look past Pascal Gross.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he gives us on the pitch in terms of creativity is just second to none. And I was recently quoted on another channel saying that I think Pascal Gross would walk into any side in the Premier League. I think he's that
Mm-hmm.
intelligent of a footballer. And if he's got world-class players around him, I would fear for what he could do to teams. He pulls
Yeah.
the strings so many times and, again, doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves. So many people talk about Evan Ferguson being the next £100 million player. Talk about Adingra being 80 million, Matoma. But for us, the priceless player is Pascal Gross. If you take him
Yeah.
out of our team, we're toothless. And you just see a massive Pascal Gross shaped hole in our midfield, and you think if he leaves, who could replace him? I don't think many could. If we're talking in terms of just this season, of course, the player I've been most impressed with is Jan-Paul Van Hecke, the young centre back who was sort of an understudy to Lewis Dunk and Levi Colwill last season, but has come in at the start of this season and really stepped up. Well, really, he came in at the end of last season because we had a few injuries, and he was tasked to man mark Erling Haaland, and Erling Haaland didn't get a sniff. And I think that's credit to how
Yeah.
good Jan-Paul Van Hecke is. And I think he's come on leaps and bounds. He's matured. He used to get stupid red cards and stupid bookings, give away stupid fouls.
Mm-hmm.
But he just seems so well-rounded now. So, yeah, for me, if you really pushed me for a player of the season, it would be Jan-Paul Van Hecke.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout. I mean, obviously you've got a lot to pick from. I mean, I think Arsenal, I think for me, I look at a player of the season that I think if this player wasn't in your team, you would be different. Like I think for me, like if Declan Rice wasn't in this Arsenal team, I'm not saying we would fall apart, but I just feel like in that midfield, he's kind of like that glue that just
Yeah.
sticks us together. It just feels like the perfect player for us. And
Yeah.
obviously a really good choice from you. And
I
I
love
just,
Declan Rice as well. I think he's such an incredible person as well as a footballer. And he just seems infectious. Like
yeah,
if Declan Rice is on a good day, everyone's on a good day. So yeah, I think I laughed at the fee that Arsenal paid because I thought that compared to Moises Caicedo's performances last season,
Yeah.
Declan Rice wasn't that close. But having seen how he's been for Arsenal, that fee's been paid
Yeah,
10 times over.
I
He's so good.
Yeah, I originally thought like that was a lot of money. Like in my head,
Mm.
before we signed him, obviously West Ham, England, he was doing incredible things. But
Mm.
I would have probably said maybe 70 million for him, because I think at Arsenal we have seen him go to a different level. I think West Ham, no disrespect to them, they've got a really good squad. But I think when you're around a lot of, really more talented players, you look at the back, Gabriel Saliba, and up front, look at Saka, Havertz, Jesus, those type of players. I feel like when you're around those type of quality, you do kind of improve. So I definitely think, looking back now, I think it was a bit of a steal. But it is hard with money because, 100 million seems like so much at the time.
I mean, I think the same could be said for Leandro Trossard, Ben White. I feel like they've taken a step up from a very, very good Premier League player to now elite Premier League players. I think Leandro Trossard scored a lot of really important goals for you since he's been
been
with you.
massive for us. I think,
and Ben White as well. I absolutely hate that there's that issue with the England camp with Ben White, because I would love to see him in the England squad. I think he's so versatile and could give so much. So I was gutted when he left the World Cup camp and hasn't been back since, I don't think. So that's even more reason to get rid of Southgate and Steve Holland, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue against that. Like you said with Ben White, I think really strange when we signed him. I think he might have been around 50 million, something like that, and a lot of fans were like, "That's so much money," and I just thought, it's not my money. I don't care how much you paid for it. We needed that situation. Like we needed him to come in, and obviously since he's came in, he's built these great partnerships at the back.
I've got a really funny story about when Ben White got called up to the England squad for the first time, because obviously he was still a Brighton player at that time, and then 2 weeks later, Arsenal signed for him. So you might have to cut this bit out because I need to find something.
Okay, don't worry.
But because he was a Brighton player, I went and bought this shirt.
That is nice, to be fair.
Because I was so proud that an England player was going to a international tournament, and then he goes and signs for Arsenal. How could he? I feel like he should give me a refund for that.
Do you know what? It's so difficult because, like, I'm really funny with getting players on the back of my shirt, because a few years ago I wanted to get Sanchez, and I just stopped myself because I always knew that he would leave us. So it's a risk taking that. I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one, and he doesn't play for England much, like you said. It's a weird one with England. I mean, I do understand. I mean, personally, I like Gareth Southgate as a person. I'm just not convinced he's able to win us things. And we see the same players that probably shouldn't be in the squad. I mean, Ben White for me definitely serves that chance. I do hope one day maybe he'll come back, but I suppose at the moment it's probably a good thing for Arsenal for him to focus on, him not getting injured, because I know this season he was playing for injuries because of our squad depth situation with our injury. So I think for me it's obviously probably a good thing at the moment. But I did want to just get your thoughts on the title race, because I think as an outsider it's probably really exciting. I mean, for me, it's nerve-wracking because I honestly, obviously, I really want Arsenal to win it. I've got confidence that we can, but I genuinely think it could be anyone's out of us, Man City and Liverpool. Just tell me like who you think could win it and what are your thoughts on the title race this season.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, let me just work out mathematically if Brighton can still win it. No, probably not. Yeah, it's one for the ages. I think it's been so tight throughout the whole season. Obviously, at the start of the season, there were question marks whether Villa would do a Leicester. I say do a Leicester. They've spent crazy money, so their squad should be getting top four, but based on how much they've spent. But yeah, as I say, it's one for the ages. It's going to be I think it's going to go to the wire. I think it's going to go to the last day. And I'm slightly annoyed that our last game is a home game because I'll be at the stadium, so I won't be able to sit there and watch the title race unfold on Sky Sports or
Yeah,
wherever it'll be broadcast. I'm sure they're going to do like a multi-screen thing. Who have you got last game?
I think we've got Everton at home.
My
So we
gosh.
could either win the league or send them down. I'm pretty sure that. Oh
Oh
god,
my gosh. Do you know who Liverpool and City have got last game or
I
not?
can check now.
Yeah.
Liverpool. Yeah,
I just
Everton.
think it's
We shouldn't.
incredibly exciting. As you say, like it's gonna be it's gonna be amazing, I think.
I think Liverpool might have Wolves. Yeah, I
Right.
think it's Wolves. Let me check Man City because that's going to be really interesting to see. Everton. Do you know when we're at home against Everton, we're fine. It's just when we're away. I think Man City have got West Ham. I mean, those fixtures each team should technically
Yeah.
win, but the Wolves one might be a bit difficult for Liverpool. I think possibly.
Is that Wolves away for them?
I think it might be. Um, Wolves is a weird one. Yeah, I think I
They're
don't
a
know.
weird team. They could get
Yeah,
smashed 6-0, or they could win 1-0. They win.
I think Liverpool are actually home for that game. So
Right. Okay.
I think
Wow.
the Anfield crowd will probably definitely help that.
They would roar them on to. I mean, it's Jurgen Klopp's farewell tour, isn't it? I think everybody, like most people, want Liverpool to win the league. If you're
Yeah,
not an Arsenal or City fan, um, for me, I just want it to be anyone but City. I'm just
yeah.
bored,
I know
like
I'm
really,
tired.
really bored.
It's so
And I'm sure you
boring.
are. You was in a title race with them last season. You're in another one with them this season. It's like just give someone else a chance. But they're just incredible. They just never fall away. And when you think they're going to fall away, they're breathing down your necks again. And it's just like, oh my goodness me, they're relentless. But that's why they're champions. That's why they
Yeah.
won the treble last season. That's why they've been so successful. And for me, Pep Guardiola is the greatest that will ever do it. I think
Mhm.
he's one of the most incredible coaches that will ever walk this planet. And I'm just watching the Man City documentary about the treble on Netflix at the moment, and
Yeah, it looks
what he
incredible.
demands from those players and the way he screams at them on the training pitch. I mean, imagine having the absolute nuts to scream at Erling Haaland. Could never be me. So yeah,
Yeah,
I think if City do win the league, it would be no surprise. But yeah, come on Arsenal, come on Liverpool.
yeah.
Not for this weekend. I don't want you to win this weekend, but
Yeah, yeah.
please do something to win the league.
I'm with you. Obviously, I think the goal difference as well is a big factor, and obviously that's a good
Yeah,
thing for us. But I've said, if Arsenal don't win, I will be disappointed. But I would really want Liverpool to do it, and there are reasons. I think one, like you said, it is boring. It's very repetitive seeing the same team do it. You want different ones. It was nice. Obviously the season Leicester won it. I feel like Arsenal should have won it then, but it's nice. I like it when you see a team that you wouldn't expect to win it. Obviously, I would like that to happen again, but yeah, I think Klopp's last season. I think it would be a very fitting way to end the season with him winning that, and yeah, it's going to be really tough. Definitely. I mean, I know all three of us play Spurs. I mean, for me, Arsenal and Spurs, like form would go out the window for that.
yeah.
Because in those games you just have to win it. I mean, we've got to win it even more, but
Mm.
I think it's very exciting. I think it'll go down to the last day, which it's gonna be so tough if that does happen. I
I
mean,
honestly, I do not envy you in the slightest. I could not imagine the stress that I would be under if Brighton were in a title race. I mean, I say I couldn't imagine. We have been in title races, but not quite the Premier League.
yeah, the
We're
Premier.
obviously in a title race for the Championship when we got promoted. That went to the last day, and we conceded a 90th minute equaliser, which meant that Newcastle won the league. And it was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever been through. Honestly, I wanted to be sick. It was awful.
It's so
Um,
nerve-wracking. It's
and we,
terrible.
we had we had 3 games, so we were 9 points clear of Newcastle. 3 games to go. All we had to do was win or draw. No, 8 points clear. All we had to do was win a game, and then we would have won the league. We lost to Bristol City, we lost to Norwich, and then we drew against Aston Villa last game of the
Oh my
season.
god.
And it was an absolute clanger from our goalkeeper as well, which just rubbed the salt in the wounds. And they were down to 10 men. I'm getting myself worked up about it now.
It's so tough, you know. I remember watching Arsenal women and they were 1 point behind Chelsea, and Chelsea were losing that game, and I was getting really excited, and then he ends up winning it. It's the most stressful thing ever, because I feel like for us, we've just got to do what we can do. I mean, I do think I think we could possibly drop points. I definitely think Liverpool, Man City are. I think Man City this season are incredible, but I just don't feel like they're as good as they were last season. I think Haaland is being good this season. I'm not denying everything he's doing, but I just feel like defenders are starting to work him out a little bit. I just don't feel like he's as strong as he was last season personally. I mean, what do you think?
I think with Haaland, obviously the injury slowed him down a little bit, and it's taken him maybe a little bit of time to get more up to speed as to what his expectation was from last season. I mean, last season was absolutely ridiculous. What did he score in all competitions? Something like 50 goals.
It was mad, honestly.
So to set that bar for yourself, to then go and score, what, 25, 30 goals this season and call it a disappointing season is crazy. So I think you're right. I think Man City and Liverpool and you guys are all there still for the taking. I think no one has been perfect this season. For me, if you're putting a gun to my head to ask me who's going to win the league, the most satisfying would be Arsenal because of your kit. You've got gold on it. So if you don't win the league with gold, I think a lot of people would laugh. And I think Arsenal should have waited until they won the league to have that kit, because I think it's absolutely stunning and would look even better with the golden Premier League patch on it as well.
It would be incredible, yeah.
So not to get your hopes up and not to make you dream even more that Arsenal could do it. It's anyone's, isn't it? And how exciting for a neutral anyway. But yeah, as I say, I don't envy you going into the end.
It's do you know what? It's really tough because I've never seen Arsenal win a league. I've seen us win FA Cups, and obviously I think FA Cups are amazing. But it is really hard because, you know, there's 9 games to go, and I almost want to get excited. I want to believe, but I also know I can't do that right now. I think you can't personally because of last season as well. I got quietly excited when we were 10 points above, you know, Man City. I think that was a big shocker for a lot of people, including myself. I didn't expect that, but I think because kind of fell off a bit, I think I'm kind of waiting for that to happen in my mind, because we've done it quite a lot at this time of the season. I mean, we do seem to be a lot stronger, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on this because obviously Arsenal have brought in new players, as we touched on Declan Rice, and we've obviously got Havertz, Fryer, Timbers, you know, out. Hopefully they'll be back soon. But do you feel like Arsenal seem a bit more mature and stronger this season?
Yeah, and what I really, really admire about Arsenal is the fact that they've stuck with Mikel Arteta. I think they could have thrown in the towel 2 years ago and said, no, I'm sorry, we need someone more elite. And I think Arteta has grown as a coach with that Arsenal squad. And again, for me, would be another reason as to why it would be so good to see Arsenal win the league, because they've stuck by someone. And I think that's what more teams should be doing. A lot of people are talking about Ten Hag, will he get sacked by Man United? I think they should stick with him. And I'm not saying that because they're crap. I'm saying that because you need time to build something. I mean, in Graham Potter's first season, we finished just above the relegation zone. And there were some fans saying, "I'll get rid of him. He's not good enough. He's just a glorified PE teacher, this, that, and the other." And then he goes and achieves our first ever top half finish. And then, you know, adds to that, when he left, we were 4th. We were doing great. So I think there's something to be said about sticking with a manager, sticking with a project, and eventually seeing it pay off. So Arsenal have won under Arteta the Charity Shield Have they? And the FA Cup, is that right?
Yeah.
So there is that pedigree for winning something big. I think that next step is the Premier League. So yeah, will it be this season? I hope in your case. But yeah, I think it's going to be so tough to fight against. Liverpool are 2 points ahead. It's all in their hands. Unfortunately, they haven't got Gerrard to slip over this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so tough to call. But I think Arsenal, what I admire is that they've grown with their manager.
Yeah.
And they've brought in players to strengthen in areas where it clearly needed strengthening.
Yeah.
I mean, Kai Havertz has been fantastic for you guys this season, and people laughed at you for signing him because he was a flop at Chelsea. And I think I even said as much when I last came on your show that people need to give Kai Havertz time. There's a world class player in there, and I think we're seeing that.
Yeah.
So that's a brownie point for me for getting that right.
Yeah, I think with Havertz, it was a very weird one. I did always see it as a project player in the sense that, Arteta, like, say with Xhaka, the way it was so bad and then he changed it around for him. I think Arteta's done the same with Havertz, to be honest with you, because, 65 million these days is a bit of money, and I know we needed a striker, and I think at the time I was thinking maybe we should have done that. I mean, I still think we need a striker in the summer, but I definitely think Havertz is really growing in confidence. He's developing, and I just can't imagine him not being in our team anymore. But yeah, I definitely, I'm with you on the manager situation. I definitely think it's so important to stick with managers because with Arteta, I think if he left during the time where we were finishing 8th twice, I feel like I would always feel like, what if, like, he could have taken us on to win things. Obviously it has been a while since we've won a major trophy. I mean, I know we've got the Champions League. I think for me, like, it's going to be really hard to win any of them competitions, and I wouldn't expect to win a Champions League, but I think if we could, that would be incredible. But I think the league, like you said, we do really need Liverpool to drop points, but I think, like, the season, the fact we're still able to compete, we're still up there, is what we want as Arsenal fans. And the Brighton game is going to be really interesting. Before we end the stream, I just wanted to get your score predictions on that game, because for me, I'm just feeling nervous about it.
Oh man, let's go for 2-2. I'll sit on the fence.
I think in my head, I mean, it's obviously going to be tough, but I think, do you know what, it kind of does for me depend. Obviously Arsenal play Luton tonight. I think if we have a good performance, that'll give us confidence to go into the game. And if we play poor and we concede quite a few, I think I'll be more nervous. But I reckon it could be 2-1 Arsenal. I think it's going to be a close game. It's one of those fixtures where I just get a bit nervous about, because, like you said, with Brighton, you kind of don't know which Brighton to expect. It's going to be a really tough one. But I'm looking forward to the game, I can't lie. But thank you so much, Joe, for coming on here today. It's been really lovely to chat with you again. But yeah, it's going to be a good game for sure, and I hope you guys are watching this did enjoy this video, because I really enjoyed chatting with you today. But yeah, guys, I hope you all like this, and we'll definitely do something like this again, because it's always lovely chatting with you. But best of luck for the game, whoever wins, hopefully either team. I mean, it could be a draw. I wouldn't be happy with a draw, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.